Hey Living Word, it's Wednesday and time for a midweek check-in. This week, I've been thinking a lot about relationship health. In fact, over the last couple of months, I've been doing some research on this topic and been going through a course called the Emotionally Healthy Relationships course by Pete Scazzero. And I've been learning lots and lots of things to apply to my life and to those in my life. And I find them to be really, really helpful, especially during this time. We are under a lot of stress and there's a lot of chaos and a lot of unknowns. And I don't know about you, but based on that, I find myself feeling a little prickly as I bump up against other people, as I engage and interact with them, whether that be at work or at home or even at the grocery store, when I'm trying to follow the arrows to do the right thing and go the right way, even though I'm not sure that really works. So I have a couple of tips for us today to kind of review and talk about a couple of ways that we can love each other a little bit better in the midst of the stress and chaos that we're under. Thing number one is clarifying assumptions. We as humans make assumptions about one another all the time. And this could be based on verbal communication or nonverbal communication. Maybe it's a look you thought someone gave you, or maybe somebody said something and you kind of misunderstood it and you made an assumption about them. The problem with this is that puts us on the defensive. When we make an assumption and we don't really know the outcome or what's really going on in the heart or mind of the person who delivers the cue, it puts us on the defensive. We can take it one step farther and say that it actually causes us to bear false witness against that person. Here's a good example. A few months ago, like you, my family and I were doing lots and lots of projects in the yard. We were over at Home Depot and we had to buy a few items to finish our projects. And my husband and I went to the checkout counter or checkout stand, and when we got the bill, he seemed a little annoyed, kind of perturbed. I made an assumption right away that he was annoyed because he was thinking that I got some things that we really didn't need. And that's why the bill was high, right? I could feel this rising up in me kind of right away. And based on the skills that I've learned from this course that I was telling you about, I kind of thought, nope, I don't want this to get carried away. I need to ask what's going on. So I said, hey babe, you seem a little annoyed. Can you help me understand? Because right now the story I'm telling myself is that you're annoyed because I got things you don't think we need. And he's like, wow, I'm actually really glad you asked. He had just expressed that he was surprised at the total, that we hadn't bought a lot of things at Home Depot recently and hadn't bought plants for a really long time. And so it really did add up to more than he was expecting. But what was great about that conversation and the back and forth that we had was that I was able to come out of that defensive stance. And it also took away the need for him to go into a defensive stance. And it saved us a whole Saturday. You know, we've all been there when we go back and forth, defensive, and we waste a whole Saturday kind of fighting about something that we don't even know the truth about, right? So that was skill number one, clarifying assumptions. Skill number two that I learned that I find to be really also very beneficial is clarifying expectations. We all have expectations, and we all have expectations that are put on us. So for one thing, it's really important that we sit down and think about what the expectations we have are. For example, we're going on vacation really soon, and I've made it known to my family that one of my expectations is that I get to do lots and lots of just hanging by the pool and reading a book. I've expressed that expectation. It's also really important that we ask questions about expectations that might be put upon us. For example, we're working right now with Life Church and getting ready for church at the drive-in a couple of weeks. We're asking a lot of clarifying questions to keep our relationship health with Life Church in a really healthy place. We are asking, what are your expectations on this? How can we help do that? We're asking lots and lots of questions in order to keep our relationship up and running and feeling good about what it is that we're doing in this project together. So my hope and my prayer is that this week that you will find peace in your relationships and that you will stop and ask a couple of questions, clarifying questions, whether it be about assumptions or about expectations. And this seems like a really simple thing, and maybe it feels awkward when we do it for the first time. But ultimately, it's really, really beneficial in loving one another. And that's ultimately what we're called to do. So my prayer again is that you will be able to apply these things this week and have some freedom in your relationships and maybe even find some healing where it's necessary. Love you guys. God bless.